Well, hello and welcome to this Tuesday's Movie News. I am John, still munching on a protein bar. I do apologise, I was trying to furiously get it down my throat before I started, but I need to speak about movie news, guys. But in this instance, this specific headline, I'm speaking about TV news because it's not actually movie related. It's all about everyone's favourite heroic cinematic character. Well, mine's. I'm just projecting onto everyone else. Luke Skywalker. And will he or won't he be getting a TV show? Well, it looks like the rumour mill has been running crazy over the last day or so. Not from any real, verified, decent-sized movie news publication. There's no Variety. There's no Hollywood Reporter. Indeed, there is no Deadline or any of the other big publications really reporting this news. But there is rumours frenzying up that we could be getting a Luke Skywalker TV show heading to Disney+. I've pondered the question down there. I'll actually bring it back to myself for a moment, just to see if that intro is going to work. It is. Put the little graphic up. Are we getting a Luke Skywalker TV show? Well, we've got this article coming in from MovieWeb, but in all honesty, I'm going to ditch that article. That was the little holding article that I used to build the news up for the show, man. I'm going to go to this article. It's much better. It's coming from Inside the Magic. Ain't ever heard of this website before. Seems like it's a Disney focused website. It's a very well penned article from Rebecca Barton, and I'm going to go through that and use that as a base by base sort of structure for why I think this is a great idea. I don't need this to say why it's a great idea. It's just a great idea. Having Luke Skywalker back in his prime is a great idea, provided we don't do another horrendous CG deepfake special like we got in the Mandalorian Season 2 finale. I loved that appearance as much as anyone, being a huge Luke Skywalker fan. For me, he is Star Wars, but it was fucking jarring, let's be honest. If you've any eyeballs in your head at all, you'll admit to yourself that was jarring. The eyes were dead. It was a photograph put on another actor's face. And I don't want to see that for an entire TV show. So if we're going to do this, we do it right. And we get the great Sebastian Stan in. A man who is being called the son of Mark Hamill by Mark Hamill himself. The son he never had. I don't know if he's got a son, but he was saying he was his son. Just because the look of this guy, it's uncanny. He looks like Mark Hamill from the 1970s, 1980s. This guy's in his prime years. He's not even 40 yet. I see no reason why he can't be cast as Luke Skywalker in a TV show. The man himself wants it. It was heard maybe 5 years ago saying that if they want to recast Mark Hamill or Mark Hamill's character, then he was well up for it. So look, man, you have to get Sebastian Stan in there. And he's already got a working relationship with Disney. He's doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's played Bucky Barnes for years now. The relationship's there. Just make it work. Please get Sebastian Stan in. That's the first caveat for this news. If we're going to do it, Stan has to play the character. No drop balls. Another reason is this, as they do suggest in this little article, and I'll go back and forth between the article. I'll come back to myself momentarily. Another reason is the Grogu story. Of course, if you've watched them, sorry, I'm choking on the protein bar. If you've watched the Mandalorian Season 2 finale, you will realise that Grogu gets placed into the very capable hands of Luke Skywalker. He goes away after wiping out all of those sort of cyborg stormtrooper things under Moff Gideon's guise, and yes, he disappears off into the sunset. So if you were exploring a Luke Skywalker TV show, then where better to start than directly after the events of The Mandalorian Season 2, when we see him come in fine form, destroying everything in his way and taking the little green Baby Yoda, the much loved Baby Yoda. Not going to be in Mandalorian Season 3, it looks like. Certainly not going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. I want to continue seeing this little guy in his cheeky little chappy demeanour, and I want to see him next to Luke mother effing Skywalker. So this is a great way to start it off. We start off with him training up and being a mentor to this little green fella. Another great idea for this though would be that, of course, we could bring in the I've screwed it. I've got one macro and I always make a complete arse of it. Another way, Stephen's not here tonight, sadly, so we've not got that split screen thing. Yes, he's in the comments, but he's not on the show with me, so there's no need for a second little capture there. Another reason is we could have Mara Jade making her long-awaited debut in live-action form. Now, I think we've had various people coming out and saying that it's unlikely that we'll ever see Mara Jade as a character making that jump across to live action, but I think a lot of people would have thought that with Ahsoka Tano as well, the Dave Filoni love child, part of the Great Clone Wars, part of Rebels. Not a lot of people would have envisaged her coming over to live action, and of course Rosario Dawson starred as her in that unforgettable episode, setting up a new TV show for Ahsoka, going to be taking on Grand Moff. It's not Grand Moff Tarkin, Grand Admiral Thrawn. So there's already a character that was unlikely to make that jump to live action, made that jump to live action. Anyone who's read the expanded universe will know that this was a great foil for Luke Skywalker early on. They were sort of playing hard to get. She was trying to kill him, and he was just dancing out of her way and just being a pain in the arse. They loved and hated each other in an equal manner in the early parts of the relationship, and then they slowly built up this great bond. They get married, they had kids. I for one would like to see that side to Mark. Choking on this protein bar, I do apologise. It's nutty, it's natural, it's killing my throat. I would love to see Luke Skywalker getting a semblance of a happy story after what we've seen in The Last Jedi. This guy needs something to redeem his arc. We cannot have depressed, sad Luke Skywalker with nothing going on in his prime years. We've seen him when he was on the beginning of his journey into the way of the Jedi. He became a Jedi Knight, stroke master in Return of the Jedi, and then it was a happily ever after on Endor, and we never seen the guy again. The next time we see him, he's some embittered old guy, a shadow of what he used to be, completely unrecognisable in The Last Jedi. This is another reason I would like to see this happening. Mara Jade, happily ever after for him in his youthful years. He gets married, or maybe he doesn't get married, but he has romantic relationships with a female character. And we get just him in his prime doing some crazy shit with Mara, and on his own as well. Another reason would be that it does give a chance to redeem what we've seen from the Rian Johnson version of the character. But we don't just jump from mid-20s Luke Skywalker to 50s, 60s Luke Skywalker on a precipice of doing himself in, sacrificing himself for the greater good of the galaxy. If we fill in this guy's prime years, we get to see what he was doing from the ages of mid-20s up to when we seen him in The Last Jedi. It could empower, maybe give us an idea of what shaped this man and what made him do what he ultimately done in the sequel trilogy. This could redeem the sequel trilogy version of Luke Skywalker if we make this TV show happen, if we write it correctly, like we've had with The Mandalorian, like we've had with WandaVision, hopefully what we're going to have with Falcon and Winter Soldier. High calibre Hollywood movie-esque writing, high calibre Hollywood movie-esque production for each episode, $10 to $15 million an episode. This could redeem the Luke Skywalker we've seen in the sequel trilogy. I want to see Mara Jade, I want to see Luke with Grogu, I want to see this guy going off and having adventures, taking on other fledgling Sith characters. It doesn't even have to be Sith, though. He can take on a wide variety of different villains. This TV show doesn't have to be a one and done like Obi-Wan, because of course Kenobi had a short window between the prequels and when we seen him in the original trilogy. Looks 30-40 years for Luke Skywalker. This could have 6-7 series or seasons. This could easily spawn out into a multi-season TV show, and with Sebastian Stan playing the character, he's got 10, 15, 20 years easy in him playing this character. During that time period, he is literally aging as Luke ages in the actual galaxy. Sadly, Mark's too old now to play him. I do not want to see a CG bullshit deepfake thing going on. It would be horrendous. It'd take you out of it. We're not quite there with that technology yet. We've seen it with Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. We're not there, sadly. Small little furries, yes, we can absolutely put up with it, but not for an entire 10 hour, hopefully hour long, maybe half an hour long, so it would be 6 hours TV show. It just wouldn't work. So I want to see Sebastian Stan. I would absolutely love to see this happening, man. I sincerely hope it does happen. My one little nagging doubt is that Kathleen Kennedy is still there though, and she has proven to be a real thorn on the side of Luke Skywalker. The handling of the character, she's just not got it in her to give the fans what they want with this character. The absolute undoubted most popular character in the Star Wars franchise. There was a a graph during the sequel trilogy. I've seen someone put it up. They polled who was the most popular character. It was Luke Skywalker, and look what they've done to that character. So that would be my one nagging little doubt. If we do get the TV show and she's in charge, will she butt her nose in and destroy this character's happiness in his middle arc of his life? And then we see Luke happy in his prime, shite in the middle, and then horrendous ending. That's my one gripe. But I want to see it happen, man. With the right writers, absolutely, I will be 100% on board for that, man. It just makes sense, man. There's a huge gap in this guy's life still to be explored. But look, speaking about Kathleen Kennedy, man, let's get into it. Bob Chapek has been out and he's shot down the notion of firing the absolute disaster that is Kathleen Kennedy as Lucasfilm president. I say I state as Lucasfilm president because, of course, hugely successful producer throughout her career, working in tandem with Frank something, I don't know his second name, but huge producing name. I don't know if Stephen's still in the chat. He can maybe, I don't know, save me by giving the name. Is it Frank Gallagher? I don't know. What is the guy's name? Doesn't matter. Her husband anyway. Great tandem, great partnership, hugely successful producer. But as a president of Lucasfilm, as the heir apparent to George Lucas, an unmitigated disaster, man. She has just got it wrong. And a whole number of projects, she's got it wrong in choosing directors, and then ultimately having to get a writer in Tony Gilroy to save Gareth Edwards in Rogue One, get a whole new director in with Ron Howard on Solo. Just a disaster for this woman, and it looks as though she's not going to be going. I thought she was. I thought she was going to be getting replaced with Favreau and Filoni, that great dynamic duo that have worked so successfully on The Mandalorian. It looks as though it's not going to happen. Bob Chapek had this to say. At an annual meeting of shareholders, they wanted rid of her. They see the sense in it. They see how much she is cannibalising into profits, how much of a bad prospect it is for this woman to stay on and handle Star Wars projects into the next 4 or 5 years. They wanted shot of her. Chapek, though, not having any of it. He said this: "We've been absolutely thrilled that we can have the kind of talent in our company, the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, to run." What crack is this guy on? "We look forward to having Kathy, nice, directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm organisation for many years to come." Well, I think that's the end of his quote, and that is just, for me, hugely disappointing to read that quote from Bob Chapek. And as you can see behind me, I've got no sexist, no racist, no fascist, so this isn't anything to do with Kathy, as he calls her, being a female. I've got absolutely no issues with a powerful female being the head of a corporation like this, provided she gets what it means to be a Star Wars fan, provided she has grown up a Star Wars fan herself, understands what they want, because that's so important. You can have great businessmen, you can have great producers who know how to do the nuts and bolts of the job, but if they don't understand the galaxy that they are delving into, that they are creating projects within, it is doomed to fail. We see it with Feige over at Marvel Disney. This guy understands the inner machinations of the Marvel comics. He understands the characters, what the fans want, and he gives them what they want, man. 9 times out of 10 he'll dance round it, he'll do little double bluffs, but he gives them what they want 9 times out of 10. We've seen it with Kathleen Kennedy, we've seen it with Lucasfilm, with the sequel trilogy. They do not care about the primary demographics of the Star Wars fandom. They do completely opposite things from what they want. I don't know if she's out to spite people. Sorry, I'm choking on this protein bar again. I shouldn't be eating protein bars before I do shows. It ends really badly. I'm going to choke to death one of these days doing a show. But not tonight. I've got it under control. I don't know whether she's out to spite people. I don't know if it's just a trait within her personality. She's just a contrary bitch or whatever. I don't know. Or she's just bad at her job. I think it's the latter. I think she's just bad at her job. She's just ill-equipped to be a producer and have an insight and just creative control over these projects. She should hand the creative side of things over to people like Filoni, like Favreau, people who understand what it means to write good characters, to write good stories, who understand the canon. I don't know if it's just a creative issue, I don't know if it's a power issue, I don't know if she's just a contrary shit. Otherwise, elsewise, I just want her to go out. I couldn't think of a word there. I just want this woman out. I want to see a new future for Star Wars, for Lucasfilm. I want them to get the right people in, and I think the right people are already in the building. I keep saying it, Filoni and Favreau are the correct people for Star Wars moving forward. But look, man, having said all of that, she was in control when The Mandalorian happened. So The Mandalorian has been a success. So we'll wait and see what Kenobi brings. We'll wait and see what Andor brings. We'll wait and see what this all-female ensemble movie brings, or TV show brings. It may be that she's learnt her lessons. Maybe she is offsetting some of the tasks to people who know what they're doing, and she's just standing back and being a president, being an overarching producer. Maybe everything will be fine. I hope it isn't though, and I hope she goes. I hope it isn't. That's a little bit harsh, isn't it? I hope it isn't. I'm a Star Wars fan. I want to see Star Wars succeed ultimately, so I hope everything's good, but she ultimately gets the boot, man, and we move on to a new era. But look, let's move on completely to another article, another topic. We've moved away from Star Wars, we've moved away from all of that shenanigans, all of that political minefield, and we're moving into this political minefield. The BAFTAs aren't looking so white anymore, I've says there. And why am I saying that? That seems like a deeply incendiary thing to say, but it isn't, because of course this time last year we had the hashtag the BAFTAs are so white, because every single nomination at the BAFTAs in 2020/2019 was taken up by a white person, and of course Margot Robbie got nominated not once but twice, much to the consternation of film fans on social media and just people in general. They shook it up, BAFTA, whoever is the actual organisation that deals with how these films get nominated for the BAFTAs. They went back to bare bones basics. They looked at the process of how they nominate, and they try to make it a more rich, diverse field of nominations, and this year they have come up trumps in that regard. We have got the most diverse nomination field of nominees in the history of the organisation. You can see it there, it's coming in from Collider. And yeah, Chloé Zhao, the great Chloé Zhao, already up and coming director. She's directed Eternals, it looks very good. I have seen Nomadland and it is tremendous. She is, she's the front runner. I think Nomadland and Rocks are the two leading nominees at this year's BAFTAs. I have not got a clue what Rocks is. I've never heard of it. This is going to be a common theme as I go through these actual nominees. I've not heard of many of them, but they're diverse and that's good. As you can see, Mank get absolutely destroyed. It gets snubbed to hell, bar screenplay. Great David Fincher movie. It's got Olivia Colman, I think, in there, and I've got, no, she's in The Father. It's got Gary Oldman and someone else whose name is eluding me at the moment. But as you can see, I'm not going to linger too long on this. It's really just to show how we've evolved in a year. It's incredible what you can do when you have a sort of storm rising on social media, twisting your arm into the 21st century. It really is remarkable what they can do in a year. The Father, the Mauritanian, Jodie Foster, she's white. Nomadland is in there, also white, but of course directed by an Asian American. We've got Promising Young Woman, The Trial of the Chicago 7, so it's a very richly diverse sort of best film category. And then of course you go to leading actress, Buki Bakri. I've not heard of her. She's in Rocks. She's got a nomination for Up and Coming Star, and of course that's went to the likes of Letitia Wright in recent years, so they've usually got their finger on the pulse when it comes to talent in that little category at the BAFTAs. 40-year-old version, Radha Blank, Vanessa Kirby, Frances McDormand, Alfie Woodward and Wunmi Musaku. Now if it was my choice, I'm sorry, I know we're saying Oscar BAFTAs are not so white anymore, but I would actually go for Frances McDormand because I think she's the best performance of the year, and sadly she's white. And we'll get into why this is just a storm in a teacup for me. It's an absolute load of shite. I'm happy to see representation. I'm happy to see diversity. I say it all the time. Movies and talent on the screen should represent the world at large. And the world is a very rich, diverse melting pot of creeds, colours, religions. We have everybody represented in the world. Why should that not be the case in the arts, on the screen, in films, in TV shows? And I'm glad to see they are recognising that, but look, we'll get into it. I'll get into it in a moment. Leading actor, Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Ardish Guri, Anthony Hopkins, Mads Mikkelsen and Tahar Rahim. Now again, Chadwick would get that for me, and sadly, well, it's not sadly, he ain't white, so that's good. For the context of this topic, I would absolutely give it to Chadwick. Riz Ahmed, a great actor too. You can't rule out Tony Hopkins because he's just a tour de force and has been his whole career. Mads Mikkelsen, an amazing actor too. For me, Chadwick should get that, not just because it's posthumous, but because it was a thoroughly amazing performance from the man, and the hole that he has left, I feel that deserves to be recognised by some love getting showered upon him, and of course his wife, as by connection. Supporting actress, again, I'm looking through this, I don't know any of these people, and I know Maria Bakalova because I watched Borat, and actually I know Dominique Fishback as well. I watched Judas and the Black Messiah, so I'm talking absolute shite. I have to watch Minari, by all accounts, an amazing movie. But an American-Korean movie getting nominated for foreign picture, so very controversial, but by all accounts very good. So Yoon Jung-yoon, it's not any surprise to me she's in there. Again, I'm not going to linger too long, but there is only 2 more categories anyway, so that's all good. Daniel Kaluuya, supporting actor, Barry Keoghan, Alan Kim, Leslie Odom Jr., Clark Peters, and Paul Ratchie. Now, it really could be, and I'm absolutely delighted to see The Five Bloods getting some recognition finally. It's been getting snubbed left, right and centre. It was a great movie. Sadly no Delroy Lindo in the leading actor role, so that's a disgrace once again. But for me in this, Daniel Kaluuya was really good in Judas and the Black Messiah. Really good. I love that guy. He's so down to earth. Cool dude off the screen. For me, he could get it. I love Leslie Odom Jr. as well though. And Barry Keoghan, he's always in these movies. He's like what is he, Irish? Northern Irish? Irish, English? I don't know. But he's like one of them version of your man Jesse Plemons. He's always in these big movies. He was in Dunkirk. He's in lots of movies, got a very distinctive face. But for me, Kaluuya gets it. And then Rising Star, yeah, you've got all of these ones. Conrad Khan, for me, probably Buki Bakri. She's got to get it. She's been nominated in the leading actress category. So for me, BAFTAs are not so white anymore. They're very much diverse. This is a right step in the right direction. It's nice to see they're recognising different people who are not white. And ultimately, though, it should be down to performance. That's what we'll get into. It should be down to performance. I want to get away from this identity politics thing. I understand they're trying to do a good thing here, and ultimately it is a step in the right direction. We're empowering minority communities to show that the door isn't shut to you, even though you aren't white. That's a good thing. But ultimately, these award shows should be recognising the best performance of the year. They should be recognising the best pictures, the best screenplay, and if it's a white person who's gave the best performance, then sadly it has to go to the white person. If it's a black person, it goes to the black person. If it's an Asian person, it goes to the Asian person. If it's an Aborigine person from Australia, it goes to the Aborigine person. If it's a ginger, incredibly white Casper the Ghost person, then it goes to someone like me from Scotland. It should all come down to merit, to performance. That's why I never really bought into the Oscars so white, BAFTA's so white. Good premise, good idea in principle, but ultimately should come down to performances. And I'm not going to linger on it too long because I'm just talking one load of shite. I'm going to move on to the 4th topic on the show. Speaking about Nomadland, speaking about Chloé Zhao. Her movie is set to come to Disney Plus this April and in theatres in the United Kingdom when we finally open up, and it's looking like, thankfully, it's going to be very soon. Indeed, this is coming in from Empire, a website I love to hate, and that's why I love to hate it. Look at that. There should be cinemas to follow in that little box there. And all you see is Emma's to follow. Absolute travesty of a website. But look, you can read this, and ultimately that's all that matters. Now, I'm not really going to linger on this and actually read it all that much, but just go through the actual details. Nomadland will find a home on Disney Plus on the 30th of April on the streaming service's newly launched Star section, which is the R-rated, more adult-themed section, which includes films and TV series suitable for older audiences, as I just said. Disney acquired in its takeover, that's 20th Century Fox. Zhao originally produced the film for Fox Searchlight. The film will be available at no additional charge, that's great. Unlike the paid premiere access releases for the likes of live-action Mulan and animated adventure Raya and the Last Dragon. It's great news, it's not going to come at an extra premium cost. And very strange decision because, as I've said, I've seen the movie and it is much better than Mulan and much better than Raya and the Last Dragon. And they charged us £29 for those two movies, $29, whatever it was. Better movie, but they're not charging. I'm not complaining. It's great, and it's coming to a streaming service. And it's also great that we're getting a dual release over here in the United Kingdom. It's coming out in theatres here as well, and we will have theatres opened by, hopefully, May, June. I'm fully confident in it. So I've got a bit of a dilemma here. Do I watch it on the streaming service, or do I go and actually support the movie with my hard-earned cash at the theatre? I'm sure I'll do both. It was a great movie. Frances McDormand, truly stupendous. Chloé Zhao, really up-and-coming figure. Really excited about this person's career moving on. She's working with Disney already on big blockbuster movies. It's really, the sky is the limit for her. But just staying on the actual subject of Disney Plus momentarily, we've got Disney Plus here. Another article about the streaming service. It's surpassed 100 million subscribers in just less than a year and a half. A truly remarkable rise for the streaming service. It was miles behind Amazon Prime, miles behind Netflix. It was trying to set up an infrastructure, try to bring in new faces. Ultimately, at the start, it had a limited fare, very little diverse content. We had mostly catered for kids stuff, Disney classics, and obviously Marvel and Star Wars stuff. Glad to see that we're finally getting more diverse content with the Star stuff, the R-rated stuff, and also glad to see that this movie is coming on. Hopefully this is the beginning of many interesting, newly released movies coming out. I know after the pandemic's gone, we're not going to have this concurrent release shit going on. We're not going to have a movie coming out on the streaming service and in theatres. We will go back to something like the old way, but as I've said before, not like the theatrical windows we had before. But I don't think we're 3 months before we wait till they come on to streaming service. I think it'll be much, much shorter. But this is good news. This is good news for Disney. It's good news for fans of Disney, because the more money getting into this company, and of course they are restructured, and they have restructured their entire operation to focus on streaming and VOD content, the more money it goes in, the more money they're going to have to create great content like The Mandalorian, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The list is endless, man. Andor, Kenobi, a Luke Skywalker TV show. This is good news. Mine's is coming up for renewal very, very shortly indeed. In actual fact, I think next week I'll just renew it as a yearly subscription. It's well worth £50, man. Well worth it. When I think of what I spend in takeaway every week, multiple times a week, it's very good. It's very good price indeed. But look, man, I'm going to move on to this topic. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to speak about this, to be honest with you, because there's not really much going on in this article. It's just the director from WandaVision speaking about the process of making projects for Disney, for Marvel, the freedom they get within, and the fact that they are sort of kept to rails, on rails to an extent when it comes to freedom and how it connects into other topics. It was interesting to me. I don't know if it will be interesting to other people, but Matt Shatman has been out speaking a very lengthy quote. I'm going to try and bring this up. I think this will not be readable. It'll be readable for me, but not to anybody watching this on an iPad or something, or a phone. He's had this to say: "What's lovely about Marvel," and I've said this to a few folks, it feels like a relay race. That's a tongue twister, a relay race. You know, where someone hands you the baton and you run with it, and then or the baton, as we call it here, and then you hand the baton off to the next one. It's not like you're reverse engineering your product to fit something that's more important that has already been established down the road. WandaVision was the focus while we were making it, and choices we were making were then handed off to other films. The way we decided to describe Monica's power, all of that stuff will continue into Captain Marvel 2, so you get the chance to kind of arrange the furniture while you've got control of the set, and then it moves on. But we did talk definitely to the filmmakers for both of the movies that we sort of directly hand off to. Doctor Strange, their story room is right round the corner from our prep office. So we talked quite a bit, and then later, once we were nearing the end of our photography and Strange was really getting close to starting, and it has started, I think, I talked to Sam Raimi and a couple of times, and our art department spoke, and we wanted to make sure there was a seamless handoff for sure. Like I was saying before, with the Disney Plus thing, the subscriptions going up, the money coming in, it allows a seamless transition between TV and movie. Now, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, it would have been very hard to have that seamless transition. You'd watch a TV show and you would know it was TV. You'd go to a movie theatre and you'd know it was a movie. The two weren't combining, they weren't acquiescing, is the big fancy word I like to use. So it shows you how much we've evolved since the likes of Game of Thrones came onto the scene and really upped the production budget, the scale of everything, the look of it. Sort of blended, is that the right word? I don't know, blended, yes, blended the lines between cinema and TV. So this is great news, man. You've got people working for a TV show on Disney Plus. I'm obsessed with acquiescing. Speaking, there you go, trying not to be a fancy pants, speaking to big Hollywood directors like Sam Raimi, having discussion over maybe joint art design for big blockbuster movies and their TV show on Disney Plus. I find this fascinating. I find it fascinating to look into and behind the veil of how it all works at Marvel Disney. I love the movies. I love what they've done with this universe, what Kevin Feige's been able to accomplish, bringing in different directors, and it's almost like a jigsaw piece fitting into a greater puzzle. It all seems to work. It doesn't matter if you've got a Taika Waititi, a Jon Favreau, a Joss Whedon, the Russo brothers, or even a Chloé Zhao, they all come in, they all seem to have their own artistic flourishes, stylistic flourishes. They've got their unique take on the movie. You've got Taika Waititi's zany, funny as hell Ragnarok. You've got Favreau's slightly less zany, slightly less funny Iron Man. And they all blend in beautifully, and they've got that cohesive vision. So it's very interesting for me to look in behind that veil and see how it all works. And the fact that they have got that bit of freedom to work on each individual project, but ultimately it all has to line up and fit what's going on in the sort of grander vision of this universe. So very interesting to me. I don't know if it was to anyone else, but I love looking behind that. That's why I love watching the likes of ILM, what lies behind the magic and stuff like that, the visuals, how these movies are made. And again, the lines are blurring between TV and movie all the time, so look, very intriguing. I don't know what I've done there. I'm going on to the final topic here. Very intriguing indeed. Very, very much excited to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, to see Spider-Man 3, even to see Captain Marvel 2. We're going to have Miss Marvel in this. We're going to have Monica Rambeau, Photon in this. We're going to have Carol Danvers back. She's going to have long hair, short hair. Is it going to be coloured? Who gives a shit? As long as she's in it. By all accounts, a big ensemble release, so very excited for the future of the MCU. And it's nice to see, no matter where you are in the pecking order in terms of TV, movies, that they all have that sort of joint responsibility, and that joint ability to shape their own little side of the sandbox. But look, man, moving on to the final topic. As you can see there, Avatar is getting screwed that there. Let's try that again. It's very tongue twisting again. Getting another. Let's try. Avatar is getting another re-release. There we go. Second time lucky. Coming in from CBR, I do believe. No, this is still the previous topic. John, get your shit together. Coming in from Collider. Avatar re-release could make it the highest grossing film of all time. Well, I fucking hope not, but we'll get into that in a moment. The film only needs $7.4 million to top Avengers Endgame. It's getting a re-release in China, and it's coming this week, this Friday. They wanted more time to promote the movie over in China, but they're not getting it. It's coming out on Friday. It only needs $7.4 million to top Avengers Endgame, and they seem quite confident that indeed it's going to do it. And this is what THR have said. Some in the Chinese industry have said that the state-backed distributor China Film Group would push for slightly more time to prepare for the re-release, which could mean Avatar is delayed and hitting Chinese screens again by another week or two. As things stand, however, theatre managers have been informed that the date is set for Friday. An official public announcement is said to be imminent. I cannot speak tonight, guys. It's getting very late. Imminent. It's 20 past 12 AM here, so you must forgive me. I've had a long day at work and I'm getting very tired. And these lights, it's like being on the moon and looking at the sun. It's so bright. You'll never understand how bright these lights actually are, especially that ring light there. Jesus, suffering, it is incredibly bright. I feel like I'm in heaven at St. Peter's Gate, and I'm ready to get brought in to whatever the fuck heaven is. But look, I digress, man. Let's speak about Avatar getting another release. I see another release in block caps here, within block caps, because if you know about Avatar, then you will realise that it didn't get one release, but it got another release again to prop up its box office numbers, just like Titanic. And now it's getting another release. The two releases it had before weren't enough. Let's give it a third so it can top Avengers Endgame. We were speaking about this when Endgame actually topped the all-time grossing list, and I says I absolutely nailed that it would happen a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was. I think it was a year ago and a year and a half ago. And I says that they would do this. They would release it again in preparation for Avatar 2 coming out to get it to the number one in the all-time grossing list again, so they could market Avatar 2 as the successor, the sequel to the number one all-time grossing movie. So I can read Disney like a book, and I'm sure Cameron had it written into his contract that they had to do this and build up to these sequels. He's a very powerful man, is Jim. Do I care about this? Do I fuck? I am not in China. I've never been a huge fan of Avatar, to be honest with you. It was revolutionary at the time in terms of technical prowess. Jim done what he always does. I'm talking about James Cameron as if he's my best bud and I stay next door to him. But it was a spectacle, a visual spectacle. What he'd done with 3D, he reinvigorated it. We had another era of shite 3D movies. I went to see The Phantom Menace in 3D and it was decent. But ultimately the story was a rehash of Ferngully. It was a stylistic, futuristic version of Ferngully without Robin Williams. We had Sam Worthington. He was in every movie at that point. And ultimately, it wasn't that great. I'd never felt it was deserving of the all-time grossing #1 spot. It was ill deserving in actual fact. I thought there was so many other better movies came out that deserved that spot. But it held it because of what Cameron done with the visuals. It was there for, what, 10 years? Endgame finally overtook it by an absolute ballhead, as we like to say here. And now they're going to do this again, and I just think this is shit. I just want Endgame to be #1. I think it was a vastly superior movie. With just tonally and thematics and the story of Tony Stark, this guy going full circle from a selfish CUNT to saving and redeeming himself by giving up his young kid, giving up his quiet little life to save half the universe. I just think that's more deserving. So I'm not in at this. I don't want this getting re-released again. But ultimately, no one listens to me. I'm just a little shithead from Glasgow. And they're going to do what they're going to do. I just hope it releases in China and it absolutely bombs and they don't get their $7.6 million, $7.4 million. And Endgame is still #1. But I'm a bitter little shit, shall we say. But look, man, that's going to round the show up. I'm done speaking. What is your thoughts on the topics I touched upon? Do you want to see a Luke Skywalker Disney Plus TV show? Do you think it's a good idea? Could we see the introduction of Mara Jade? Is that something you want to see? Have you read the expanded universe and realised how good that relationship was? What we lost? We could even bring Gran. I put Ashoka Tano in the thumbnail and I didn't even speak about her in terms of the Luke Skywalker show. She could come in as well. The timelines are merging. We could have her coming in and a little meeting again between her and Grogu. It could all work. We could see Luke going up against Grand Admiral Thrawn like he did in the Thrawn duology. That's what I want to see. Do you want to see it? What is your thoughts on the Disney CEO Bob Chapek shooting down rumours that Kathleen Kennedy could be getting the boot? What do you make about the BAFTAs not being so white now, 1 year on? Chloé Zhao's Nomadland hitting Disney Plus. Anything in between? You can comment down below if you've got anything to say at all. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and hit the follow button on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you, the movie gong. I do appreciate that. It wasn't so great for me. I felt I had a slight mare. It was rough. I'm slightly tired and I was stuttering Stanley at points, but look, you just got to go with it, man. But look, that's going to round it up, man. Bye-bye. Bye.